All right, what are you taking a look at?
On January 29th, a harrowing call came into the Palestinian Red Crescent Society. A 6-year-old girl, Hind, was trapped, being shot at by Israeli occupation forces. Every other family member in the car had already been killed. In a call that lasted for hours, the terrified child begged the Red Crescent to please come and rescue her. "Come take me," she says. "Come take you? Please, I'm scared. Come quick. Call someone to come take me. Please. Okay, my dear, I will come and take you." Now a volunteer from the Red Crescent is coordinating so we can come and take you. And you hear gunfire. "There's gunfire around you?" "Yes, come take me." "My dear, I swear, I want to take you, but I can't right now." The family had been attempting to flee Gaza City. Hind's mother and older siblings were attempting the trek by foot. But because of the cold and the rain, Hind's mother sent her in the car with her aunt, uncle, and cousins, thinking this would be safer and less arduous for her baby girl. But in a destroyed suburb of Gaza City, the car came under fire by the IDF. Now, the first call into the Red Crescent actually came from Hind's 15-year-old cousin, Leon. Leon told them her parents and siblings had already been killed. "They are shooting at us. The tank is next to me." The call ended amid rapid gunfire and terrified shrieks. Next came that desperate call from Hind herself. The Red Crescent jumped into action to try to rescue this child. They reached out to the IDF in an attempt to secure safe passage for their ambulance and for the rescuers, using standard deconfliction practices to keep their own medics from coming under fire. For hours, they waited to hear back from the Israelis as Hind pleaded for help, telling them to please come, that she was afraid of the dark. Finally, after 3 long hours, the Red Crescent got the green light. The ambulance had been cleared to move to Hind's location. According to the Red Crescent dispatcher, it wasn't long before that ambulance also came under IDF fire. Quote, "First, the paramedics said the Israeli forces are putting laser lights on them, and then we heard a gunfire sound before we lost the connection. It was like a gunfire or explosion. We were not sure of what happened." For days, the Red Crescent heard nothing from their medics, and the heavy IDF presence made it too dangerous to send any additional rescuers. The organization was left to post desperate pleas to the public on their social media channels, alerting the world to Hind's plight. Finally, on Saturday, after 12 days of worrying and no news, all of our worst fears were confirmed. Israeli troops moved out, and Hind's family was able to return to the area and locate the destroyed vehicle where Hind had issued her final desperate plea. In the car were the decomposing remains of Hind alongside her cousins, including Leon and her aunt and her uncle. And just out of reach, maybe a block away, was the charred remains of the ambulance, which had been sent to rescue this little girl, who instead spent her final moments alone and completely terrified. Red Crescent crew Yusuf Zaino and Ahmed Al-Madoun were also murdered by the IDF, in spite of being in a van clearly marked ambulance and in spite of having received explicit permission for the operation by the IDF. Now, you can see in this video, first you're looking here at the ambulance, and then within sight, down the road, is the car where Hind spent her final hours. Now, you can imagine these medic heroes so close to Hind, barely out of reach when their vehicle was targeted and their own lives taken. I hope all of these souls rest in peace, their final agony and torment now at an end. Targeting an ambulance, it's a war crime. Killing children, other civilians, also war crimes. There was no fighting ongoing in the area between Hamas and the IDF, so these vehicles were themselves targeted, not accidentally caught in the crossfire. Hind and Leon now take their place among the more than 13,000 Palestinian kids who've been killed by Israel since their assault on Gaza began. This is carnage that Joe Biden describes weekly as, quote, over the top. No. This is massacring children, targeting medics, pushing an already terrorized and displaced people to God knows where. This is not over the top. This is genocide. The IDF has yet to comment on this particular atrocity. Perhaps they need some time to fabricate a Hamas command and control center under the ambulance, or an intercepted audio recording of 6-year-old Hind revealing she's actually a hardened Hamas terrorist. Liberal Western media jumped in to signal their concern with the most sanitized and accountability-free Orwelling language possible. As noted by academic Asal Rod, the premier outlets of Western journalism, The Times, The Post, CNN, and the BBC, all failed to use the word killed or to so much as mention Israel in their headlines about Hind's murder. New York Times' choice here is emblematic. Quote, Missing 6-year-old and rescue team found dead in Gaza, aid group says, as if they just dropped dead under mysterious circumstances. Now, for the American taxpayers who are listening to this, you should also know that your tax dollars funded this horror. Shell fragments from an American-made M830A1 were found at the scene of the bombed-out Red Crescent ambulance. State Department spokesperson Matt Miller was asked about Hind's killing and the use of American-made weapons. As usual, he really had nothing to say.
On the killing of 6-year-old Hind Rayab after an Israeli tank targeted their family car in Gaza, the Geneva-based nonprofit Euromed Human Rights Monitor determined that the IDF is responsible for the bombing of the ambulance that attempted to rescue Hindi. And it also reported that American-made weapons was found at the bombed ambulance. Have you seen that report, and do you have any response?
Yeah, we are devastated about the reports of the death of Hind Rajab. I will tell you that I have a little girl that's about to turn 6 myself, and so it is just a devastating account, a heartbreaking account for this child, and of course there have been thousands of other children who have died as a result of this conflict. And every one of them is a tragedy that I know, I can tell you, everyone in the United States government feels quite deeply. We have asked the Israeli authorities to investigate this incident on an urgent basis. We understand that they are doing so. We expect to see those results on a timely fashion, and they should include accountability measures as appropriate.
Accountability measures as appropriate. Not going to hold my breath on that one. Secretary of State Tony Blinken says he will spend the rest of his life thinking about the thousands of children killed in Gaza. I hope he and all the other criminals with blood on their hands will be haunted by Hind's face for every single second of the rest of their days. I hope they can't sleep at night, imagining her final moments of terror. Unfortunately, I doubt any of them has enough of a soul left to even care. But make no mistake, while some have more direct culpability than others, the truth is we all failed Leon, we failed Yusuf, we failed Ahmed, and we all failed Hind. As Israel sets its sights now on Rafah, remember, millions of innocents, just like Hind and Leon, are sheltering there, seeking refuge with literally nowhere else to go. Each loss as devastating and tragic as that of this heartbreakingly adorable little girl who will now never see her 7th birthday. Bombs stamped Made in America, snuffing out these precious lives, and our president occasionally emerging from his fog to issue a weak protestation while rushing to ship more deadly child-killing weapons. And Saagar, on that interaction with
Hey guys, if you want to see what I had to say to Krystal's monologue, not just this one, all of them, going back to the very beginning, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com.